Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to a live Manchester United transfer show. And this is a massive transfer show. Jadon Sancho's reportedly agreed mega terms with PSG. United negotiating with PSG on a deal. Man United want 51 million for Sancho, which is what PSG want for Ugarte. Now, Ugarte, £40 million player, PSG demanding 51. Sancho, £40 million player, Man United demanding 51 million. I think Man United are paying PSG at their own game, and I think something could be agreed for a lower fee. So what is the latest on Jadon Sancho? What is the latest on Manuel Ugarte? George Mendes has flown into England to try and finalise the Manuel Ugarte deal. Manuel Ugarte is pushing for the move. There could be a big breakthrough in the coming hours for Ugarte. Fabrizio Romano has been retweeting stuff about Ugarte and about Sancho, dropping huge hints. Rasmus Hojlund injury boost could be back sooner than expected. Toby Collyer, big new plan for him at United. New DM targets, new midfield targets. Shock move for Ivan Toney. Bids coming in for Pellistri and Lindelof. There's a lot of news to get into. In fact, Napoli's made an offer for McTominay. It's been rejected. Napoli's sporting director is now flown out to try and negotiate a deal with McTominay going either way, which may prompt Fulham to put in a bid for McTominay, and that could maybe speed up McTominay to Fulham. As Rich said, separate deals but similar to swap deals. Maybe it could be some kind of you know how Villa and Everton were doing separate deals to sort out PSR, but it was basically a swap deal, and sort of Chelsea's Gallagher sale seems to be some kind of swap deal of Atletico. Maybe we could do some kind of thing where, you buy Sancho, we buy Ugarte kind of thing, because there's some big developments on that. So I want to get into the Sancho news because apparently he's agreed mega terms. So this is all the Sancho. I mean, when I say this is the Sancho news coming out, Sancho in the last 24 hours. This is just older stories for contact. Ugarte, Romano Ugarte, midfield. McTominay bid, Ivan Toney, older news, 2 more signings planned, defensive plans. There's just so much news coming out. I can't stay on top of it, guys. I really can't, but I'm going to dive into all of the news. We've got 500 people watching right now, and I'm going to say one thing. I am on 88,999 subscribers right now. So if anybody's new, please do hit the subscribe button so we can hit 89k, because I'm literally one away. And let's dive into the content. So what has been said? Jadon Sancho always wanted PSG. They offered him a €17 million a year gross salary, and Jadon Sancho and PSG have reached an agreement on personal terms. United are demanding €60 million, 51 million for the players, and PSG and Sancho have agreed a mega deal on personal terms. Now, I don't really trust Sportzone and Sport that are saying that personal terms have been agreed. I think they could be jumping the gun. If you want my honest opinion, Sportzone, all the sources saying that personal terms have been agreed, I don't 100% trust, but I do trust Santi. And Santi is saying that Jadon Sancho's always wanted PSG. They've offered him a €17 million salary, and that he's agreed, and that it's been reported by other sources that he's agreed a mega deal to join PSG. He's agreed mega personal terms, and now it's up to United and PSG to agree on a fee. A bit like it is, we've agreed personal terms for Ugarte. Now it's up to Man United and PSG to agree a fee for Ugarte. Terms have now been agreed for Sancho. We are going to sell Sancho for 40 million. We're asking PSG for 51 million. We're asking PSG for 51 million because we want to buy Ugarte for 40 million. Ugarte and Sancho are both worth the same. There's 2 agreements there. Both clubs are demanding 51 million. Both clubs only want to spend 40 million. Bish, bash, bosh. Maybe you can get the deal over the line for 40 million. It was also said by Fabrice Hawkins last night. Jadon Sancho wants to play at PSG. Manchester United asked for more than €60 million. No agreement expected to be reached this week. Not an easy deal, but PSG are keen on signing Sancho and are working on it. So Sancho wants to join PSG. Agreement on personal terms is there. United want £51 million, which could make the deal difficult, but PSG are working on it. They're still keen on signing Sancho. It was also said by Romano that Manchester United are aware of the possibility of Sancho to leave, and contact between his agent and PSG has been made, but not an official bid yet. It was then also said that PSG have reopened talks with Manchester United this morning over a possible move for Sancho. So talks have just been reopened right now between PSG and Sancho, and that Sancho is open to a move to PSG, but happy to stay and fight for his place, believing he has a better chance of securing a regular spot, because maybe Ten Hag's woken up to realise that Anthony isn't that great, as well as a big other update coming in. And then it was said the offer PSG had on the table for Jadon Sancho last week was not workable for Manchester United. It was low. So PSG have made an offer for Jadon Sancho that had been rejected. We know last week that PSG actually inquired about Jadon Sancho and how much it would cost. And they've also sent contract terms to Jadon Sancho, which apparently has been agreed as well. It was said that PSG are interested in negotiating a loan deal and obligation to make the switch permanent for Jadon Sancho, and PSG's desire to sign Sancho could give United leverage in an attempt to find an agreement for Ugarte. We're going to get into the Ugarte news soon. And any deal that could be struck for Sancho is separate to one that's being negotiated between United and PSG for Ugarte. So as you can see, this is the summary of Man United news. One source says we could use a Sancho and an Ugarte news. The other source is saying it's completely separate. But I do think there will be some links between the Sancho and Ugarte situation in terms of the fact that both clubs are probably willing to spend no more than 40 million on the player, and we're demanding 51 million, they're demanding 51 million for a 40 million player. Apparently PSG have a big mega agreement with Jadon Sancho now. We obviously have a decent agreement with Ugarte. I think it's one of those where it could be a bit of a domino effect, where if we can get the breakthrough on Ugarte, then we'd probably lower the Sancho fee and let PSG have a breakthrough on Sancho. Some sources are saying we're actually using this deal as leverage to get Ugarte. Other sources are saying that this deal is separate. I'd assume that these deals are sort of being discussed together, but as two separate deals. And I think when one is done, maybe that gives the other a bit more leverage to be done. I think United are using Sancho to try and get Ugarte, and then if they can get Ugarte for the right fee, they would then maybe give PSG Sancho for the fee that they want. There was talk of actually a loan swap deal as well, but we know that United are sceptical to send Sancho out on loan. But there was obviously talk of a loan swap deal as well, and PSG are more than willing to pay Jadon Sancho's wages as well. McTominay to Napoli, Sancho sold to PSV, and Kvaratskhelia to United. Ineos massive bomber for end of the window. You know what, Matt Millen? If you are right on that, and if you get that right, then that would be absolutely amazing. That would be the kind of Ineos bomber that we want. But believe it or not, I don't see us getting Kvaratskhelia. I'd love Kvaratskhelia. I'd absolutely love Kvaratskhelia, but I really don't see that deal happening as well. Manchester United might make moves for 2 DMs. There's reports saying that Man United have 2 signings planned, and if Jadon Sancho and McTominay sold, there could be a big third signing. So the 2 signings plans are midfielder and a backup left back. But if Jadon Sancho and McTominay is sold, there could be 4 signings, and that one of them could be quite a big signing. Now there is talk of Ivan Toney, there is talk of Rafael Leao being linked to United, and Rafinha and Frankie de Jong. But Rafinha, Frankie de Jong and the Rafael Leao links to Manchester United have come out from sources that Romano has basically said there's not anything in it, because there was a report that we were going to make a move for Leao, but it came out from like a tier 4 source, hence why I didn't report it yesterday. I didn't report the Rafinha news yesterday because it came out from a rubbish source. I didn't report the de Jong news yesterday because it came out from a rubbish source, and there was also Rafael Leao news yesterday, but it just came out from a rubbish source, and Fabrizio Romano has already debunked it this morning, so I thought there's no point reporting on that. There's also a report that Atletico Madrid are trying to hijack the Ugarte deal, and that's all nonsense. So there is a few nonsense reports coming out, but I'm only trying to report things that come from tier 1, tier 2 sources, or tier 3 sources if it links to things that have been said by tier 1 and tier 2 sources. Like we've been told that Sancho will agree to join PSG. Sancho, once PSG's been offered a contract, tier 3 sources saying that terms have been agreed. It links to what the tier 1 and tier 2 sources saying, but they always say take with a pinch of salt. But there is actually some interesting news. But Kvaratskhelia is not one we've been linked to. But imagine Man United did get a deal for Kvaratskhelia. Imagine that, because we are looking at wingers. And I think, Ivan Toney's been the one that's linked the most. But we need a winger more than a striker. We've got so many players that can play central. Kvaratskhelia wants to leave Napoli, and he dreams of a Premier League move, apparently. So you never know. We could make a shot move for Kvaratskhelia, but I think that would be very expensive. And I think Sancho, McTominay, Lindelof, Pellistri would all have to leave. But if Ineos did like a deadline day move for Kvaratskhelia, then yeah, I mean that would be absolutely insane. I do apologise if we've got a little bit of lag coming through here, but I do want to get back into the next news stories. I do want to get back into the next deals as well. But we're 39 likes away from 200 likes, so please do hit that like button as well. Napoli have asked for a loan from McTominay. Do you know what? If Napoli want to loan McTominay, say, well, can we loan Kvaratskhelia? If Napoli want to loan McTominay, we ask for Kvaratskhelia on loan. And that's a fair deal, because McTominay's got 1 year left on his deal. Of course, we're not going to loan him out. They made a stupid loan offer. Say, all right, well, we want Kvaratskhelia on loan. And they'll say that's stupid. And we'll say, well, your McTominay loan offer was stupid. So why did you do that as well? Yeah, we have been linked to João Felix as well, but I think it's just nonsense because he's about to join Chelsea as well. But there's a strong possibility that Sancho and Pellistri will leave United. There's lots of updates going on as well. We can get Rafinha and De Jong plus João Felix in our team to attacking force. We've been linked to all three of those players, but it's from rubbish sources that I wouldn't waste your time believing if I was going to be totally honest with you. So let's dive into more news. Let's dive into more stories. So far on Jadon Sancho, he's been offered a mega deal. He's agreed a mega deal with PSG on personal terms. La-di-da. Sancho wants to move to PSG. PSG are working on the Sancho deal. There's a possibility United are waiting for an official bid. They obviously reopening talks, and talks are ongoing to negotiate a deal for not just Sancho but Manuel Ugarte. The offer PSG had on the table for Jadon Sancho last week was not workable. United said it was very low, and PSG are interested in negotiating a loan deal for Jadon Sancho is something else that's been said. So PSG are interested in negotiating a loan deal with an obligation to make the switch permanent for Jadon Sancho. PSG's desire to sign Sancho could give United leverage in their attempt to find agreement for Ugarte. There is talk of a loan deal being negotiated. But what do we know from last week? PSG have had direct discussions with United for Jadon Sancho. Talks advanced to the stage of the price of the potential deal. They had reservations about Sancho's characters and whether it would work well in the squad. But Duncan Castles, who is so well connected to George Mendes and PSG, more well connected than almost any other journalist, has said, yeah, it's true. PSG and United have had genuine direct discussions about Sancho. Manchester United would also be open to strengthening their attack if Sancho leaves and PSG show an interest, said Samuel Lutkers. That gets briefed by the club. And then Sky Sports said this last week. PSG held initial talks with Manchester United over signing Jadon Sancho, discussions over conditions of potential deal. Sancho could be open to move, personal terms not expected to be a problem, dialogue between clubs as there's been discussed. So we obviously know that there was an offer last week, there was talks last week, and now PSG have reopened discussions with Jadon Sancho with sort of the goal and the plan of potentially getting a Jadon Sancho deal over the line. Guys, please do hit that like button and of course subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and want to stay up to date on all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more. I go live every single morning on the channel and of course every single afternoon and evening, keeping you guys up to date on all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more. We've got lots and lots to get into in today's show. Alice, I just missed that. Alice, I don't think Manchester United are prepared to loan any senior listed players. No, Ineos have made that clear. Ineos have made one thing clear, and that is we are not interested in doing loan deals. Ineos have said we're not interested in doing loan deals for McTominay. We're not interested in doing loan deals for Sancho. Ineos have said you need to put in a proper bid if you want to buy our players. And I respect that from Ineos. I think they're fed up of United being mugged off in the transfer window. They're fed up of teams, taking advantage, mugging off United in the transfer window because, we're considered easy in the transfer window, this and that. And Ineos has said, no, if you want our player, you're going to have to make a fair bid. You're not going to get Sancho on loan because he's on high wages. They've made that clear. Now, I think they would be willing to sell Sancho on loan if they could get Ugarte on loan in return. But, we've got offers for Ericsson on loan. We've got offers for Mejbri on loan. We've got offers for McTominay on loan. All three players have 1 year left on their contract. So the fact that we're getting offers for them on loan, Man United and Ineos sort of see as insulting because they're like, well, we're just going to lose them for free if we let them go out on loan. So why are you trying to loan someone with 1 year left on their deal unless you're offering an obligation to buy and that you're going to buy them next year? So Ineos have basically told a few clubs to absolutely go and do one because of the offers that they are bringing in. Let's dive back into the next news. Let's dive back into the next story. So obviously Manchester United are aware of the possibility of Sancho leaving. That was all said by Romano. So let's go and talk about what's been said on Ugarte because there is potential that the news between Ugarte and Sancho and the deals could be interconnected here as well. So this has been said on Ugarte. Manchester United and PSG are now closer to an agreement for the transfer of Manuel Ugarte following negotiations over the weekend. PSG are lowering their demands and Ugarte is pushing for the move. George Mendes is working between clubs to try and formulate a deal. So last night it broke that basically Manchester United were very close to an agreement to sign Manuel Ugarte. This was obviously breaking news coming in last night that a deal was very, very, close and it was moving fast. It's then been said by Romano today that Manuel Ugarte is in love with the idea of being a Manchester United player and playing at Old Trafford. He's pushing for the move and that Manuel Ugarte is insisting a lot for Manchester United move as PSG and Man United are still talking. George Mendes is leading negotiations with PSG open to selling Ugarte and United very, very keen on doing that deal and getting that deal done is what else has been said in regards to Manuel Ugarte. So obviously, we're negotiating a deal for Jadon Sancho to go one way, but while we're negotiating a Jadon Sancho Sancho deal, and Manuel Ugarte deal is also being negotiated the other way by Manchester United. And obviously Manuel Ugarte is really keen on the move. He's insisting on the United move. He's pushing for the move. And Jorge Mendes is in England right now. He's jetted to England to try and get the deal done, try and get the deal over the line. Jorge Mendes is in England right now trying to sort out the deal, make sure the deal moves ahead. As well for Manuel Ugarte, like trying to push it. It's Manuel Ugarte's dream move. He's pushing for it. And the nearer and nearer we get to the transfer deadline, and I think a lot of people forget this, but the nearer and nearer United get to the transfer deadline, the easier and easier it is for us to get a deal for Ugarte. PSG want to sell him by the end of the window, but they thought because Manchester United were trying to buy him, they could try their luck and see if they could rinse us for money, like Atalanta did with Hojlund, like other clubs have done in the past. But what's basically been said is no, Man United, we'll just walk away and we'll go for other options. And we walked away. We made some talks with Sander Berge and Yusuf Fofana last week. And all of a sudden, PSG have rung us up and they're ready to do negotiations for Ugarte. We're working on the Ugarte deal. PSG did not lower the fee. We offered PSG 42 million for Ugarte. They did not lower the fee. So last week we walked away from Ugarte. We went and had talks with Sander Berge. We went and had talks with Fofana. Guess what? PSG ring us up. They're ready to negotiate a deal for Ugarte and lower a fee. And Jorge Mendes is working on that deal and hoping that a breakthrough can happen between clubs. It's also been said that Manchester United have been very clear a loan move is impossible for McTominay. There's nothing ongoing between Frankie de Jong and United and no discussions to date in terms of other news and transfer news coming in, just to keep you guys up to date on a few other stories going about. It was also said in regards to midfield that Napoli sporting director Giovanni Manna is in England and will be holding talks with Manchester United about a move for Scott McTominay. Is news coming out right now. So we've not only is Jorge Mendes in, of course, England trying to get the Ugarte move in, but Napoli sporting director is now in England trying to push for a move for Scott McTominay. There's actually a report saying that Scott McTominay would be more interested in joining Napoli to Fulham and would be interested in that move. So that could be one to watch. And it was also said by Romano that AC Milan and Monaco are still working to find a club-to-club agreement for Fofana, despite the links to United. Manuel Ugarte is insisting a lot on the Manchester United move, and both clubs are still in talk. Jorge Mendes is leading negotiations. So we've got Mendes in England, and we've got the sporting director of Napoli in England trying to get deals for McTominay and Ugarte. And if McTominay goes, it makes us a lot easier for us to get Ugarte as well, funds-wise. And then we also have PSG trying to bring in Sancho. So there's 3 deals that are being negotiated and quite advanced right now, all being worked on, which is pretty interesting. And it has said that Man United have turned down a loan offer so far from Napoli for Scott McTominay. Alice, slow down. Okay, I'll try to talk a little bit slower. I just like to get all my information out there as well. A loan for Scott would be silly unless there's a high loan fee. I mean, it'd be silly unless there's an obligation to buy. Love the fact that Ugarte wants to be a red opposite of de Jong as well. I mean, people are still talking about de Jong to United, but yeah, it's not going to happen. Like, we've literally been told that as well. Napoli buy McTominay and sell us Kvaratskhelia. I mean, that would be an absolute dream. Now, do you know what? It was said yesterday. So what we know right now, if you've just joined, is Sancho's agreed a mega deal to join PSG, and United and PSG are negotiating a deal to see Sancho go that way, and also expected to break through in an Ugarte deal. United are working very closely with PSG to bring in Ugarte. That deal is closed because Jorge Mendes is in England trying to finalise the deal. Napoli sporting director has now gone to England trying to finalise the McTominay deal, which means the McTominay deal is advancing, a Sancho deal is advancing, and of course a Manuel Ugarte deal is advancing. And it was said if Man United sell both McTominay and Sancho, they could go all out for an attacker and potentially 2 midfield signings. Man United will sign a midfielder and a left back regardless of sales. If we don't sell anyone, it's Ugarte or Berge and a left back. If we sell McTominay, if we sell Sancho, it is Ugarte, Fofana maybe, a left back, and we're talking big attacker. Now, there is links to Ivan Toney, there is news about Rafinha, there is news about Leao, there is news about Kvaratskhelia, but it said that Man United could, if they sell McTominay and, of course, Sancho, there could be 4 big deals going on because Pellistri and Lindelof are expected to leave. Pellistri, Meshby, Lindelof are very close to leaving United. If McTominay and Sancho leave on top of that, United have the funds for, we've already brought in 4 big signings, but to potentially make 4 more signings, which could be 8 signings in one window, which is absolutely incredible and absolutely crazy to even think of the possibility of us doing that, but it's definitely a possibility. Alice, do you think Ugarte the last piece of the puzzle, or would you prefer Fofana? Also, how do you rate the window if we get those? If we get Ugarte and Fofana and a backup left back, I'd give the window a 9 out of 10. Missing out on Elise would be the only big miss, but I can understand why we had to miss out on Elise and focus on other deals. I mean, yeah, I would say, you can't go wrong with that as well. A very good window. I do prefer Fofana to Ugarte. I do massively prefer Fofana to Ugarte if I was going to be honest with you. But I do think Ugarte is more of a specialist bid. More of a specialist DM. I think Ugarte is more of a specialist DM who could unlock Maino and Bruno, if I was going to be totally honest as well. Let's dive back into more news. Let's dive back into more stories. I don't want Tony personally, says Chris. I don't think we need Ivan Toney. I would rather us spend that money on an out-and-out winger or save it so we have more money to spend next season as well. Ugarte's not an out-and-out 6, but in a dual pivot, I think he could play well with Maino. I think if you could get Ugarte and Fofana and you sell McTominay, Eriksson and Mejbri, I think that's a really good overturn in midfield. But we obviously do have Toby Collyer coming in that we've got big plans for. We obviously have Mount coming in with big plans for. And in fact, if I scroll to the end here, it was said that Manchester United expect Toby Collyer to grow into someone who fits the number 6 role quicker than any player on the market currently. And United will try and sign a midfielder, but it will not be a midfielder that fits the profile that United expect Collyer to morph into and hinder his development. Ugarte and Fofana seen as 2 independent deals where if enough funds are raised, both profiles can be signed. So interestingly, it was said by Sam C that we've got big plans for Collyer. Fofana sort of seen as Maino cover and potentially Casemiro Ugarte cover. That United, if they sold McTominay and Lindelof and Pelistri and they got those sales in, would go for both Ugarte and Fofana, but also they have a plan for Collyer. Collyer is more of a Declan Rice profile, and that's why they're not going for someone of the same profile of Collyer, because United rate Collyer quickly. So the way I see United's midfield is Collyer, Ugarte, Fofana, Maino are the 4 players that are going to cover the pivot in the long term, and Mount and Bruno are the 2 players that are going to cover the 10 role. So you've got Mount and Bruno to cover the 10 role. You've got Maino and Fofana to cover the 8 role, and you've got Ugarte and Collyer to cover the 6 role long term because Casemiro will be moved on. Ahmad can also provide cover in the 10 role if needed. And then that gives United 6 really good midfielders that can cover those 3 positions. And depth-wise, that puts us in a very, very strong position. And that's where I think United see their midfield plan going and all of that as well. So let's dive into some more news updates, some more stories as well. I do want to get back into the midfield news. So as Romana said, don't believe the Frankie de Jong news. Don't believe any of that waffle going on about Frankie de Jong to United. But we do have some interesting updates coming in on McTominay and Napoli. Now, if I'm going to be honest, I do think keep an eye on the McTominay and Napoli situation, because what I think, if I'm going to be totally honest with you guys, is that potentially this speeds up Fulham. Man United know that they can get 25, 30 million from McTominay, but Fulham are just playing it. Oh, we've got no money. Fulham spent 35 million on a Mill Smith bloke that hasn't scored a goal in 2 years, that's been injured and injury prone. Fulham can more than easily afford to buy McTominay. They're just taking the mick because it's Manchester United. They're trying it on. And Manchester United know that Fulham is completely trying it on with them. So what Manchester United are doing with Fulham is they're basically saying, well, Napoli have got an opportunity here to sign McTominay. There is competition here. And Fulham are now in a position where they're going to have to speed up. And it has actually been reported that Fulham are going to make another bid for McTominay. So maybe the fact that Napoli's sporting directors in England try and negotiate a McTominay deal could potentially scare Fulham into doing some business there as well. Sorry, I just took the screen off there. Napoli would be a fantastic move for McTominay. I think McTominay suits Napoli well. Casemiro seems to be staying, so a low move for Collyer could be the possibility if a lot of people come in as well. And guys, let's go for 500 likes. We've got over 1,300 people watching right now. The goal is to hit 500 likes by the end of the live stream, so please do go ahead and hit that like button. And also subscribe down below if you're new. We're on the road to 90,000 subscribers by the end of the transfer window. If we can hit 90k by the end of the transfer window, that would be absolutely amazing. So again, if you are new, please do subscribe. And I'm going to get into some big stories because I'm like 15, 20 minutes into this live stream. And when I say there's so much news that I have not covered, it's absolutely crazy. Alice, I agree with you long term. Mount, Bruno, Maino, Fofana. And if we do hijack it, Ugarte, Collyer. Exactly. I mean, those 6 options in midfield for the long term is really interesting. Really good options. Games are won and lost in midfield. And for me, that is a midfield you want going forward. And also, we'll probably sign an attacker next window. If the midfield doesn't work, maybe you go for an Adam Wharton type player. Braithwaite, someone we go for next window. I think, if we get this summer right and we do that, and then next summer we make 2 or 3 really elite signings, I think we could be back quicker than we anticipate as well. Saudi could still come back in for Casemiro since Vinny has turned them down and they have about 2 billion to spend. There is reports saying that Saudi could make a late move for Casemiro, but for now he's expected to stay at United as well. So let's go into some more news. Let's go into some more stories. But yes, there is a few reports saying that Saudi still have an interest in Casemiro, and it is definitely one to watch. There's so much news, there's so much stories, there's so much information that is out there that you need to watch. But right now, Napoli sporting director in England trying to buy McTominay. George Mendes in England trying to get Manuel Ugarte deal done. Jadon Sancho has an agreement with PSG. Man United are working on that deal. Pelistri now has offers coming in. Lindelof now has offers coming in. There's a lot of news coming in. Manchester United is still actively looking to sell Lindelof. Lindelof has interest from Italy. Manchester United are willing, and this was said last week, but Man United are more than willing to sell Lindelof on a cut price £6 to £9 million deal, and that there's an expectation that Lindelof is very likely to leave United this window. He's weighing up a move, and because United are willing to accept offers as low as £6 million for Lindelof's very likely to leave United. There's some big advancements coming in on Italy. We're going to discuss that further later tonight. It was also said that Bologna and Caligari have both moved for Facundo Pelistri in recent hours. Manchester United want about £10 to £15 million for Pelistri, and both teams could be willing to bid around £10 to £12 million for us to get a sale in for Pelistri. So £12 million for Pelistri. I think £40 million will be agreed between United and PSG for Sancho, not £51 million, which takes us to £52 million in sales for Pelistri and Sancho. Lindelof will probably take it to £60 million in sales. And then I think, potentially the exit of McTominay could then raise United £90 million in sales in this next week, which gives United the funds for Ugarte, for Fofana, the left back they want to bring in, and then to go all out for a big attacker. They obviously wanted Elise, that's off the market. There is talk of Ivan Toney. There is talk of Bakayoko of PSV, Kvaratskhelia, Rafinha, Rafael Leao, although that's not the most credible. Ivan Toney's the only one that's credible. But there is definitely some movement in regards to outs going on at United, which is really interesting and particularly one to watch as well. We have so many wingers at the moment. I don't think we have that many wingers. I think I think Ahmad Garnacho and Rashford are the only wingers that I trust. Pellistri's worth 15 to 20 million. He's got 1 year left on his contract. I think we'll sell Pellistri for about 12 million. I think if we're Manchester City, we get 15 million for Pellistri. But we're Manchester United, I think we get 10 to 12 million for Pelistri. I'd probably accept 12 million for Pelistri. I think we could get 15 million for Pelistri. He plays international duty. He's a good player, but I just don't trust Manchester United as well. Man United are apparently going to make moves for 4 more signings this window, is what's coming out as well. Mazraoui was one of the key signings for Ten Hag. Ten Hag sees him as essential to bringing out Antony's best game. Is also another report going about. Man United are looking at Subamendi. There's a report coming out as well that we're looking at Subamendi, but I don't think that deal's going to happen as well. I don't think Subamendi to United's going to happen, but some interesting reports there as well. Garnacho, Ahmad, Rashford, Anthony, Mason. Yeah, I think we've got some really good players. Rasmus as well, Bruno Fernandes, Joshua Zirkzee. We've got some really good options in attack. So let's dive into the next news. Let's dive into the next stories in regards to United news, and that is some more updates on McTominay's exit. I'm going to be honest, guys, McTominay exit and Ugarte move is 2 massive ones to watch. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, because I'll be covering all the stories on this going forward. But there's a lot of news coming in on McTominay. There's a lot of news coming in on Ugarte. I think there could be a breakthrough in both these deals. But it was also said by The Athletic on McTominay that Fulham remain interested in Scott McTominay, but Napoli are also considering an approach. Everton, Brentford, Galatasaray and Fenerbahce have made inquiries. McTominay will only move for the right club, and that United have already rejected a loan offer from Napoli for Scott McTominay as well. There is Ugarte agreed for 35 million with PSG. Is that a report coming out? Have we just agreed a deal with PSG for Ugarte? Because if we've agreed a £35 million deal with PSG for Ugarte, then Ineos, but wow. Ineos, absolutely wow. Or are you just saying that you would buy Ugarte for 35 million? I mean, if United can get the 35 million agreement in for Manuel Ugarte, what a bargain, bitter business. What a bargain deal if they can do that as well. There is some interesting news stories coming in that I do want to get into that have just broken now, but I want to just get into the news on my story. And yeah, nothing has been agreed. I was just checking Twitter and nothing has been agreed. I was going to say, if all of a sudden it just came out now that we'd agreed a 35 million deal for Manuel Ugarte, I would have generally gone absolutely mental. I think Sancho and PSG reportedly agreed a mega deal in terms of contract, but obviously Man United and PSG need to agree a fee. Do not see that happening just yet. I think once we get an update on Ugarte, then they might get an update on Sancho. I think McTominay leaving, Pelistri leaving, Lindelof leaving is all a possibility. I think Sancho and Ugarte, that deal's all a possibility. Fofana's one to watch, but I don't think it's as advanced as the media says. I think the media are lying a little bit about United and Fofana, maybe to scare Milan into making a bid. But Lindelof, Pelistri, McTominay, Mesbury exit's sort of expected now. PSG and Sancho have reportedly agreed mega personal terms, although that's coming from sport, so I would take that with a pinch of salt. you know, there's quite a lot of movement going, but there's nothing obviously been finalised. But I was going to say, if we get a 35 million deal for Ugarte, what a bargain. But nothing has been agreed yet with Ugarte. But I wouldn't be surprised if we got a breakthrough yet. Everton could be a good plug for McTominay. Everton expressed an interest in McTominay earlier in the window, and there was always the possibility that could we use it in regards to potentially getting a lower fee for Branthwaite, but that ended up not being the case as well. Big up everybody in the chat. Please do go ahead and hit that like button. Let's go for 600 likes by the end of the live stream. We've got over 1,400 people watching as well. And of course, please do hit that like button if you have not already, and subscribe if you're new. Sancho would do well in France. I think Sancho could do well at PSG as well. The standoff between PSG and Man United will end by this week. I do think, as Jack Talbot said, Man United are in a very strong position because PSG's desire to sell Ugarte is a lot stronger than our desire to sell Sancho. So that puts us in a much stronger position where it's sort of been said and suggested that Manchester United will use the fact that they know that PSG want to sort of offload Ugarte because they brought in João Neves, and that he's not in the plans, and if he doesn't leave this summer, his value is going to go down even further, to potentially drag the Ugarte deal out to nearer the end of the window, because they know then that way they could get him for a cheaper price, is one of the sort of the reports and bits of news being reported. Alice, is there any 30 news? Nothing on 30. Now we signed Mazraoui. I can't see us signing 30 if I'm going to be honest. So what is the news story on Ivan Toney? There is some big updates. There is some big stories coming in regards to Ivan Toney to Manchester United, and this is what has been said. Manchester United could present a loan with an obligation offer to buy Ivan Toney late in the window. We know from The Athletic, we know from lots of credible outlets that United have interest in Ivan Toney and may make an offer late in the window because they know that Brentford don't want to lose him for free and will probably be willing to sell him for a cut price in the last week of the window so he doesn't run down his contract. Brentford do not want him to run down his contract. So Man United know that they will be able to sell him for cheap, but I also think that Chelsea know that. I also think that Liverpool know that. I also think that Tottenham know that Arsenal know that, and I do think there could be a bidding war for Ivan Toney late in the window, but it's definitely one to watch in regards to Manchester United as well. Other news coming out yesterday that George Mendes is in England to discuss Manuel Ugarte with United, and United need the price to be reduced or one more sale, otherwise they'll go for cheaper options. And a deal negotiated for Ugarte is still on as George Mendes is trying to make the deal happen. And then it was also said last night that Erik ten Hag is aiming to make 2 more significant signings after De Ligt and Mazraoui. Manchester United will consider dipping into the market for a versatile attacker if Sancho heads through the exit doors in the coming weeks, although they will mull over bringing in an out-and-out striker due to being desperate to avoid this similar situation to last season. So it has again been said that United may also look at Ivan Toney because they want to bring in an out-and-out striker in case something happens to Hojlund and Xerxes not seen as an out-and-out striker. They will look at that if Sancho leaves. They're saying that Man United want to make 2 more significant signings after De Ligt and Mazraoui. Now, the left-back isn't seen as a significant signing. That's going to be a left-back on loan. What they're saying is De Ligt and Mazraoui in, we want to sign Ugarte, and we might move for Ivan Toney, but that could depend on Sancho. There is a possibility Sancho goes, and we are mauling over buying an out-and-out striker, which then I guess would link to the Ivan Toney news that's come out today. So again, lots of interesting developments and advancements in regards to United news and United transfer plans coming up as well. Eriksen is a player that Man United are basically willing to let go for next to nothing, but no one's really coming in and making any interest or offers in Eriksen as well. So yeah, Eriksen could leave United. United are willing to let him go for next to nothing, but who knows what happens in regards to Eriksen and advancements there. It was obviously said that George Mendes is in England to discuss the Manuel Ugarte deal and that United expect to make 2 more significant signings. We also know that Manchester United are interested in bringing in a left-back. A free agent or loan addition would appear most likely, and that club sources believe the signing of De Ligt and Mazraoui have been completed for a fair market value and have reiterated United to have the maintain budget summer discipline. So Man United have got De Ligt and Mazraoui within price, which means they've still got a lot of their budget left. So what Man United are happy about is if they've brought in 4 key signings, but they've brought those 4 key signings in for that, budget that they're willing to spend. So that means they've got money left over to get a DM and another signing on top of that. And United feel that they're spending well and within budget this summer. It was said that United are confident De Ligt and Mazraoui have their best years ahead of them, and that it's not just Ten Hag spearheading recruitment. It was suggested by the United hierarchy that we should go for De Ligt and Mazraoui, despite them being former United players, and that Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth and Ten Hag were in agreement that Mazraoui and De Ligt would be strong additions. The deals were key as well. So it's good to see that this isn't like Ten Hag saying they play for me at Ajax, let's get them. This is Ineos have looked at these deals. Ineos have looked at these signings. Ineos have analysed these signings and said, yeah, you know what? these signings will be good deals. We're more than happy to advance on these signings as well. Maybe not Ashworth will sign Tony after what happened with Newcastle and Tonali gambling ban. I mean, yeah, but he's already had his ban and served his punishment. So if Ivan Toney is gambling again, he's really, really stupid. Guys, please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. We're on the road to 90,000 subscribers by the end of the transfer window. So if you do hit that subscribe button, I'd really, really appreciate it. It means a lot to me and the channel. We're trying to grow. We're trying to hit that big mark of 90k by the end of the transfer window, which would be insane. But I want to actually get into this really interesting story by Melissa Reddy on United's plan for Martinez and De Ligt. I think it's a really interesting news story to get into, and then I'm going to get back into some Sancho and Ugarte news and the chat in a second. But this news story that's come out, I think is really, really interesting here, and it's just an update on United's plans in regards to De Ligt and Lisandro Martinez. Matthijs De Ligt, who was proposed by the recruitment team to raise the physical and technical ceiling of United, is considered a good complement to the aggressive, instinctive Lisandro Martinez, which I think is spot on by Melissa Reddy. You know, Graham Souness sat there calling Matthijs De Ligt a lightweight. Graham Souness sat there on TalkSport and said De Ligt was a bad signing for United because Matthijs De Ligt is a lightweight defender. When Matthijs De Ligt is literally a physical box defender, that is exactly what we need to partner Martinez. And because Man United's physical and technical ceiling is low, De Ligt has come in to improve the physical and technical ceiling of United. So that absolutely makes sense. Guys, we've got 1,400 people watching. Could we go and do something crazy and hit 1,000 likes? I don't think I've ever hit 1,000 likes in a live stream. But if you do go ahead and hit that like button, that would be absolutely insane. It was also said by Melissa Reddy, the feeling is that Matthijs De Ligt's qualities have not been exploited at Bayern Munich and that his profile and attitude would be a better asset for United. Considering that he was also quite good at Bayern Munich. You know, 70,000 Bayern Munich fans signed a petition for De Ligt to stay for a reason. Replacing Wan-Bissaka, a one-on-one specialist for Mazraoui, a highly technical two-footed player, shows the changing dynamics. He resists pressure and is better suited to 10-old build-up play, is what Melissa Reddy's been told. And that Mazraoui was one of the key cogs to Erik ten Hag's successful Ajax side, where he helped bring out the best in Antony's game. And United and Ineos and those at United feel that Mazraoui and De Ligt are completely and utterly the right appointments the United should be making, because they're both players that have the technical and physical abilities to obviously do what Erik ten Hag wants. Both players have the technical and the physical abilities to do what Erik ten Hag wants in terms of progress play, in terms of build-up. And that's really going to help Erik ten Hag implement his style of play. It was lastly said by Melissa Reddy, and I want to dive into this story here. I might have to refresh this here. I've not added this to the slides because it's just come out now, but luckily United Truthfuls tweeted it out. It was lastly said by Melissa Reddy that Erik ten Hag's not leading the recruitment as he was before, and the new sporting management's come into place. The targets are offered to him based on the sustainability and style of play and the availability on the market. So despite us going for 2 ex-Ajax players, this was business done by Ineos. These were players chosen by Ineos as well. And we do have some major breaking news coming, guys. We've got some major breaking news coming in right now that I want to get up on my screen here. Major breaking news, and that is that Bruno Fernandes has now signed his new contract with Manchester United as well. So lots and lots of stories and updates coming in there. Graham Souness is a Fruit Loop. Oh yeah, Graham Souness is 100% a Fruit Loop. Graham Souness was criticising the signings of De Ligt and Mazraoui. De Ligt and Mazraoui have played under ten Hag before. They're technically able to play ten Hag style of football. They're physically able to play in the Premier League. De Ligt is one of the most physical centre-backs out there. Graham Souness calls him a lightweight defender. Graham Souness said Lisandro Martinez wasn't good enough on the ball, which is his best attribute, and has called De Ligt a lightweight defender when we've literally signed him to increase the physicality of the squad. You cannot tell me that Graham Souness watches football. You cannot tell me that he watches football outside maybe a few Liverpool games, because he doesn't know who De Ligt is. He doesn't know who Lisandro Martinez is. They signed for United. Let's say something negative about the players and make out it's a bad signing as well. Big up everybody in the chat. Bruno has signed the new deal at United. Lovely stuff as well. Someone said Antony doesn't deserve another chance. I'd like to sell and move on Antony, but if Mazraoui can unlock Antony, big up Mazraoui as well. Alice, who do you think will start a left back with Shaw injured? Mazraoui's probably better with his left foot than Delot, but because Mazraoui's new and Delot played left back in the Carabao Cup game, I think it'll be Mazraoui right back, Delot left back. But then I think as the season goes on, it'll be Mazraoui left back, Delot right back. If I'm going to be honest, I think it will be one of Delot or Mazraoui in the Fulham game. Only 2 days to the Fulham game, guys. I'm super, super excited. Let me know how you feel ahead of the Fulham game. Please do hit the like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Share the video and all of that good stuff as well. We're going to try and do something crazy and hit 1,000 likes on today's live stream. So if you've not hit the like button, that would be absolutely insane. I've never hit 1,000 likes on a live stream. I don't know how many likes we're on. I don't know how far off we are. But if we can do that, that's insane. And also, please do subscribe if you're new. On the road to 90k really helps the channel as well. But obviously, we're talking about Manchester United's new big plan for Toby Collyer. United are looking at the Ugarte deals. They're looking at Fofana deals separately, and they like those deals because they see it as a completely different profile to Toby Collyer. And United's midfield plan going forward looks to be Toby Collyer and Ugarte as long-term 6s, Maino and Fofana as long-term 8s, and Mount and Bruno as the long-term 10s, with Bruno Fernandes, breaking news, signing a new deal at Manchester United. That seems to be a big part of United's plan going forward. We're almost at 600 likes, guys, so big up everybody in the chat that has been liking the video. I do want to get back into some stories, but I want to quickly talk about sort of De Ligt and Mazraoui. De Ligt has come in as a physical box defender, really good replacement for Varane. He's physical enough to play with Martinez, but he's a little bit better on the ball and a little bit better technically than Rafael Varane, which is really going to help United and build up and playing out from the back. I liked Wan-Bissaka. It's a shame to say goodbye to Wan-Bissaka, but when you look at the style of football that Ten Hag wants to play with, his fullbacks playing high, technical players that are, overlapping, Mazraoui brings a lot more than Wan-Bissaka, which would probably improve Amad, Garnacho, and Anthony, whoever's playing on the right-hand side for United. So I think, the deals for Mazraoui and I think the deals for De Ligt make massive sense. Fabrizio Romano is now confirmed. Fabrizio Romano has now confirmed the news. Let me see what Fabrizio Romano has said. Fabrizio Romano has now confirmed breaking news on Bruno Fernandes signing a new contract here. So let me get this up on the screen here. Fabrizio Romano has said this. Bruno Fernandes signing his new deal at Man United today. Exclusive story confirmed. So big up there, Fabrizio Romano, confirming the Bruno Fernandes news as well. Absolutely lovely stuff that you love to see as well. Someone says we've got a McTominay update coming in. Have we got a McTominay update? The latest on McTominay is that Napoli's sporting director is in England trying to negotiate a deal for McTominay. We've rejected an offer for Napoli on loan. We've rejected 2 offers from Fulham for McTominay. There's an expectation that it could be a battle between Fulham and Napoli for McTominay as well. And there could be some big advancements, and not just Sancho leaving, but McTominay leaving, Brute obviously, and Ugarte coming in the next few days. Guys, please do go ahead and hit that like button if you have not already. And of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. We're on the road to 90,000 subscribers. There's so much news that we've dove into in today's live stream. So much news, so many updates, so much information coming out at the moment in regards to Manchester United. Napoli making bids for McTominay, which has been rejected. We're getting bids for Lindelof, Pellistri. There is a report that Hojlund could be back in 2 weeks as well. So a massive boost in regards to Hojlund and his injury. PSG close to a deal for Sancho. An agreement has been reached on personal terms. I mean, the amount of Manchester United news and stories going about at the moment is absolutely massive. Some really massive deals have been worked on. So I'm going to round up a lot of the news, guys, in today's show for you guys. How close are we to the 1,000 like target? I don't think we're going to hit it, but we have got 1,500 people watching. So I'm just wondering how close we are to that 1,000 like target, because that would be absolutely insane. Alice, if Sancho goes to PSG for 40 million, would you say that's a good deal? We could put in a late bid for Bramthwaite, end of the window. Your thoughts? I think Sancho for PSG, 40 million, I think is a good deal because I think he's not really in Ten Hag's plans and the issues there. I would take 40 million for Sancho. I think it's a good deal. I don't know. I like Bramthwaite, but unless we sell Maguire, I wouldn't bother making a bid for Bramthwaite. I know we've had a lot of centre-back issues and injuries, but I just think I'd rather that money go on an attacker and a midfielder. And then if defence is again an issue this season with Euro and De Ligt coming in, maybe next year I'll go for Bramthwaite. But I think if you sign Euro and then you bring in Bramthwaite and De Ligt, and Martinez stays fit this season because they were contact injuries, not muscular injuries, which means there's more chance he stays fit. Are we wasting Euro's development? That's my only question. Like, I like Bramthwaite. He can cover left back, I guess, if needed. But I wouldn't move for Bramthwaite until next window. I think we should spend any money we get elsewhere improving the attack as well. 600 likes. So we're not quite near the 1,000 like target, guys, but 1,500 people watching. So please do continue to hit that like button. So if you just joined the live show and you want a little roundup, Jadon Sancho's always wanted PSG. They offered him a 17 million euro a year salary, and Jadon Sancho and PSG have reached an agreement in principle on personal terms. PSG and Sancho have agreed a mega deal according to Sport and Sports Zone, but I would take that with a pinch of salt. It was said that Jadon Sancho wants to play at PSG. Manchester United asked for more than 60 million euros, but no agreement is expected to be reached this week. Not an easy deal. PSG is still keen on signing Jadon Sancho, and they're working on the deal. It was said that Manchester United are aware of the possibility Sancho could leave late, and there's contact between Sancho's agent and PSG, but they've not got an official bid from PSG yet. PSG have now reopened talks with Manchester United over a possible move for Sancho, with Sancho open to the move. The offer on the table PSG made last week for Sancho was not workable, but they've reopened talks and are ready to make a new offer, and that PSG are interested in negotiating a loan deal with an obligation to buy to make the Sancho switch permanent, and United could leverage Ugarte to help find an agreement ahead of the deadline, maybe doing a loan deal for Ugarte is what's been said. But it has been said by Simon Jones of the Mail, who's a good source of information, that Sancho and Ugarte seem to be treated as separate deals. We also know that PSG have had direct discussions with United for Sancho and talks are well advanced. We know that Manchester United would be open to strengthening their attack if Sancho leaves and bringing in another attacker, hence the Ivan Toney, Kvaratskhelia, Rafinha links lately. And it was also said that PSG held initial talks with Manchester United over signing Jadon Sancho, discussions over the condition of a potential deal. Sancho could be open to move, personal terms not expected to be a problem. Dialogue open between clubs as they've discussed Manuel Ugarte. We also know that Man United are close to PSG in reaching agreement over Ugarte, and George Mendes has jetted out to England to try and finalise the Ugarte deal. Romano has said that Ugarte is in love with the idea of joining Manchester United. Manuel Ugarte is more than pushing for the Manchester United move as well. He seems to be absolutely in love with the idea of moving to United, and that Manchester United have been very clear a loan move is impossible for McTominay. There's nothing ongoing between De Jong and United. There's no discussions today. The loan move will not happen, but Napoli director is in England holding talks with United to try and get McTominay move in. We've talked with Fofana, but he's still focused on Milan, but we're focusing mostly on Ugarte. He's insisting on the move. George Mendes is in England trying to get the Ugarte move done, says Romano, and we obviously rejected an offer from Napoli for McTominay, and now Napoli have flown out trying to get the McTominay move done, which would then maybe prompt Fulham to hurry up in their bid for McTominay. It was also said that Manchester United are still actively looking to sell Victor Lindelof this summer, and Lindelof has interest from Italy. Bologna and Caligari have also both moved for Pellistri in recent hours. Expect some developments there. Subscribe for that. And that Napoli sporting director is in England to discuss McTominay. Fulham do remain interested in McTominay, but Napoli are now considering another approach. United have obviously rejected an initial loan offer from Napoli. United could also present a loan with an obligation to buy for Ivan Toney. With Sancho leaving, there's an increasing possibility United could go for Ivan Toney. And obviously George Mendes is trying to push the Ugarte news on. But Man United want to bring in two more significant signings. As a backup left back isn't considered a significant signing, they want to bring in maybe someone to boost the attack if Sancho goes, which could be Ivan Toney, could be a couple of wingers we've been linked to, and obviously the DM. And if McTominay sold, they would like to bring in two midfielders, which is why Yusuf Fofana and sort of Collyer and Ugarte are sort of seen as maybe the long-term midfield plan. Fofana and Ugarte have been seen as two separate deals for two separate positions, but there is a big plan for Collyer, and that United are very happy with the signings of De Ligt, of Mazraoui. They think they're good additions. Ineos and the recruitment team played a big part in these new signings. It wasn't that they were played at Ten Hag at Ajax and we brought them in to do easy deals. They were big parts of plans. So I'm brief. That is a summary of a lot of the news that we got in today's show. There was so much news and so much information to get in today's show. I just wanted to round up as much news as possible in like 5 minutes for you guys as well. We got everybody in the chat doing an excellent job, Alice. Do hit the like button, guys. I mean, I've practically exhausted myself trying to give you a summary of every single bit of information that you need to know in about 3 minutes there. But I hope that was informing for everybody in the show. Guys, please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and want to stay up to date on all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news and more. I try and get all the transfer news up on my screen as well. Update on Sancho and Ugarte coming in now. When I say the news is not stopping, I say the news is not stopping today. We've got more updates coming in on Sancho. We've got more updates coming in on Ugarte. Man United news is absolutely popping today. Manchester United news is absolutely popping today. It's just come out now from Miguel Delaney. New Jadon Sancho could join PSG on loan with an obligation to buy after negotiations between both clubs. So we're now getting updates that Jadon Sancho could join PSG on loan with an obligation to buy coming in right now. Huge update on Jadon Sancho coming in right now. Potentially a loan deal with an obligation to buy. And then we also have reports saying that the two clubs are attempting to unlock a deal that could see Manuel Ugarte move in the opposite direction. So just now from Miguel Delaney coming in, that United are attempting to unlock a deal that could see Manuel Ugarte move to United. So absolutely massive news coming in there as well. So potentially later today, we could get some breaking news on the Sancho Ugarte situation, which I absolutely love. Alice, if you slowed down a bit, you would have more time to get the more likes. I mean, we were going for 1,000 likes. I don't know how many likes we're on. I've never hit 1,000 likes on a show before, and I don't think I will because I've had 2,000 people in a live show before and we've not hit 1,000 likes. We've only got 1,400 in, which is still insane that 1,400 people are literally watching me right now waffling about United and going crazy and overhyping United. I am a bit of a United hype girl. I do overhype us, but big news coming in that Jadon Sancho could join PSG on loan. So huge news and updates coming in there as well. So that's one to watch. I might do a video maybe like 1, 2 o'clock, or a live stream 1, 2 o'clock if we do get any more developments and updates on that. Desiree Doué to United. I mean, look, he's going to go to PSG. There was some updates on Desiree Doué to United, but he is probably going to go to PSG. We're closing on 800 likes. You know what? 1,000 likes was ambitious, but 800 likes is pretty incredible, people. So, cannot complain with that. If it's a loan, then obligation should be higher than the current asking price. Hope it's 60 million. I mean, to be honest, if we could get 60 million for Jadon Sancho. I mean, Chelsea got 60 million for Kai Havertz, but he's actually been good at Arsenal. I think if we weren't Man United, we could get 50 million for Sancho, but because we're Man United, we have set 40 million for Sancho. I think potentially we do a loan with an obligation to buy, and it's 50 million for Ugarte, 50 million for Sancho. That is apparently what's being discussed. So there could be some big movements there in terms of unlocking the Sancho Ugarte deal. And I think the Sancho and Ugarte deal is going to happen within parallel of each other. I think Sancho and Ugarte deals are linked. I know they're saying they're not linked, but I think there's a link between the Sancho and Ugarte deal. And I think, getting one deal done probably unlocks the other deal, if you want my honest opinion, which is a bit of a rogue opinion, but I generally believe that those deals are somewhat linked, and getting one done will unlock the other as well. Guys, make sure you hit that like button if you have not already, and of course subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new and want to stay up to date on all the latest Manchester United news. We've got 817 likes in a live stream, which is absolutely insane to think that we've hit that many likes in a single live stream, which is crazy. We didn't quite hit 1,000 likes, but you know what? I cannot complain with 800 likes coming in there. I'm going to wrap up the live show now, I think, because we've got so much news to discuss. I'll probably be back at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock at this rate with the amount of news coming up. If not, I'll be back at 5 o'clock no matter what happens. So, guys, please hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Thank you for watching today's show. See you guys next time, and bye.